So I've replaced the two up here. I've done the one here. I'm just doing the last 100 microfarad here. And it's an interesting bit of routing on the leg there. Not quite sure why they've done that, but yeah. So anyway, we'll put this in and then I'll test these last two and I'll read you out the values. So the last one's just going up this edge here. All the others look okay. It was just these ones that seem to have this sort of funny end on them. Look like they've been subjected to a bit of heat. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I was just rocking out to Deep Purple, as you do. Right, I've been testing some of these. Now, interesting results, to say the least. So I've got my results here. So 3 of them are 125.6, 121.4 and 124.8 for a 100 microfarad device. Now normally I think there's about plus or minus 20% on here. So the maximum they should be going up to is 120. So those first 3 are out of tolerance. So they're on their way going high. So that shrouding was a good indicator that they needed complete replacing, and they definitely did. I measured the spec of all the capacitors I put in before I put them in to make sure they're right, and I'm getting 103 microfarads, so they're good. And then the last one that I took out, which was this one here, that read 107.9 microfarads, so that wasn't so bad. That one was still pretty much alive, shall we say. And you can see that because the end of it doesn't look as bad as the others. So yeah, that was definitely worth doing. It does make me a bit suspicious. Well, get my teeth in. It does make me a bit suspicious of the other capacitors, but they're not showing any signs of being worn. So I'm not going to replace those first off at the moment because these others looked bad, and yeah, suspicions were correct. So while I've got this off, I just want to quickly put the power onto it because there's an LED I've just noticed on the front, and I can't remember if the LED is actually working or not. And I just want to know whether it comes on. Ah, yes it does. You can see it there. Interesting. I didn't have any volume before. I had that, but I certainly didn't have. I need to get some volume switch cleaner inside there. Let me see if I can get in there. So this is my capacitor former that I use for bending the legs round, but that was quite interesting. It wasn't actually wide enough for what I was doing there. So I need to see if they do the next size up of this for when I'm working with bigger caps. So I need to look around and have a look. But if you haven't got one of these, get yourself one because they're brilliant, especially for the normal size resistors and things. Right, let's see if a good dousing of switch cleaner's worked. That has worked for that. I also gave the tone switch a bit of a thing of switch cleaner. Got no tone there, but I don't quite get how that works. So have a look at that anyway. Oh, that must be 1000 hertz coming in. But yeah, these switches are lovely now. You can hear that volume. That's nice. Right, next thing to do, put it back together, give it a nice good clean up, and then we'll test the thing, see if it works. But yeah, very pleased with it so far. And for £15 for a Sinadder meter, you really can't complain. So I should be going to the radio rally, the same one again this year at some point when it's on. We'll see what other booty we get from there as well. But I've still got the Rotel RVC 240 I got for £8, and also the Turner Sidekick microphone that we need to look at. Plus, I've still got the 2 Royce CBs that I got cheap as well. And they're quite unusual. I've been doing some research into those, so they'll be featuring on the channel soon as well. Next thing I want to do is I want to look at this connector, because the connector here is supposed to have 2 crocodile clips on it, but it hasn't. it's got a BNC connector, so it's almost like someone's wired this to fit to an oscilloscope, which is no good for me, because ideally I want to clip this on a speaker. Actually, I suppose I could leave it like this, find a speaker, run some wires off to a BNC, and then connect it onto like so. Might save me quite a bit of work, actually. I could almost make myself like a little piece of test equipment with a BNC, and I just plug that in, and I could do other measurements as well. Yeah, I'm going to pause the video and investigate this and see if I've got an extension speaker that I could use for that exact purpose. So this is why I left the BNC connector on, because on my speaker that I made, I can now connect straight onto the top of there, and I have the direct feed that I need for the Sinadder meter, as well as it going into the oscilloscope, which enables me to do the detector. So this simple speaker that I've just had laying in the drawer has now been repurposed into actually something useful, and I can use this for measuring the receive now. All through here, all hands-free, don't need to play about with any connectors or whatever. This gives me an up-to-date and audible signal thing, so it's coming out the speaker, it's feeding into the oscilloscope, and it's feeding into the Sinadder meter. All from a piece of junk I'd laying about. Okay, so the Sinadder meter's now connected. So this is for the Sinadder video. Sinadder meter now connected into my repurposed speaker that we've got here, which also feeds the oscilloscope for the detector signal on FMCBs. This one here. So if we switch the unit on, and it's on, and we set it to, what do we want it set to? 10 millivolts, 30 millivolts? Oh, I'm not sure. Let's put a signal on and see what we can get. So what are we putting it on for dB Sinadder? Doesn't say. I think it's just Sinadder. So I'll put a signal on up there, and it's pulsing for some reason. Set it about there, and then if we have a fiddle with one of these pots, let's see what it does. Right, so that's done that one. So we want it to go to the right on the meter to give it better sensitivity. But it's pulsing for some reason. See if we can stop that happening. So we've got a good bit of signal there. And then if we come down to the last coil, I don't know why that's pulsing. I'll have to look at that. You can see if I turn it down here, the sensitivity drops right off. Come up this way. And it comes back in, but I'm going to have to look at the settings on here. But you get the idea. So it's connected into there. Although that pulsing is a bit worrying about. Got a slightly stronger signal. It's gone the other way now. So I don't know. I'll have to get the book because I'm sure it should be one of these settings. But the middle one says dBm, and then the others are like millivolts and volts, so I don't know. But you get the general principle. That's now working into there, all looking good. Right, let's get on tuning this radio and get this thing done. I've actually got my Electronica 360 here that I'm trying to get, but it's as deaf as a post at the moment. So, and there's not much information on these radios to which coils does what, so I'm still trying to find my way through it at the minute without much success. And I think this coil at the back here needs to come out because I can't get any movement on it. I think that's definitely got to drop out.